Every woman is born carrying a throne inside her, a throne carved not from gold or jewels, but from her history, her battles, her voice, and her becoming. It is the seat of her truth. Yet too often, the world tells her to step away from it, to hide, to shrink, to make herself smaller so others may feel taller, to silence her voice so others may be comfortable. But here is the unshakable truth. Your story is not a burden. Your journey is not a stain. Your truth is not an inconvenience. It is your crown. And no one can strip it from you unless you willingly lay it down. Sitting on the throne of your truth begins with courage. It begins the moment you say, I will no longer shrink myself to fit into spaces too small for me. I will no longer disguise my wounds, for they are proof of my survival. Think of the stories etched into you, the heartbreaks you thought you would never rise from, the nights you cried silently, the moments you were overlooked, underestimated, or broken down. Those chapters are not meant to be erased. They are meant to be honored. Each scar is a signature of resilience. Each tear is a testimony that you felt deeply and still endured. Each fall is evidence that you dared to walk, to try, to rise again. Too often, women are taught that their power comes only from perfection, from polished smiles, flawless lives, and unshaken composure. But perfection inspires no one. It is honesty, authenticity, and raw truth that ignite others. When you choose to own your story with dignity, without apology, you give other women permission to do the same. Your story becomes a mirror. Somewhere, a young girl hears it and thinks, if she survived that, so can I somewhere. Another woman whispers, her strength is my reminder that I am not alone. That is the power of your throne. It is not just about you, it is about the countless lives your truth can touch. To deny your story is to deny your crown. To hide it is to step away from your throne. And when a queen abandons her throne, she forgets the power she was born with. But when she sits tall in it, when she owns her narrative, she becomes unstoppable. This is not about arrogance. This is about alignment. To sit on your throne is to live aligned with who you truly are. It is to say, this is me, unpolished, imperfect, resilient, worthy. It is to find peace with every part of your journey, even the broken pieces, and to understand that each one had its purpose. Your throne will not always feel comfortable. Sometimes it will feel heavy. Sometimes it will feel like the weight of your story is too much to carry. But the truth is, you were made to carry it. You were made to rise with it. You were made to shine through it. So today, I invite you to take your throne back. Do not hand it to the voices of doubt. Do not surrender it to the expectations of society. Do not let shame sit where you belong. Your throne is waiting. Your crown is glowing. And the world is waiting for the moment you sit in your truth and declare, this is who I am. This is what I have survived. This is my story, and I will not hide it. Because when you rise to your throne, you don't just elevate yourself, you inspire an entire generation of women to rise to theirs. Fear arrives quietly, almost invisibly. It does not shout at first, it whispers. It creeps into your thoughts late at night, disguising itself as logic, as caution, as reason. It says, you can't do this. You're not ready. You'll fail. What will they think? Doubt walks beside it, painting shadows across your brightest dreams. Suddenly, what once felt possible begins to feel impossible. The road ahead seems too long, too steep, too uncertain. And in those moments, fear wants one thing to stop you before you even begin. But here lies the truth. Courage is not the absence of fear. It never was. Courage is the decision to move forward even with fear standing before you. Courage is the shield you raise when the whispers try to weaken your spirit. The shield of courage is not heavy. In fact, it is surprisingly light. Why? Because it is not made of steel or iron, it is forged from your lived experiences. Every time you chose to speak when silence was safer, you added a layer. Every time you walked away from what would have destroyed you, you strengthened it. Every time you kept moving forward while your heart still trembled, you polished it until it shined. This shield carries your history. It carries every small victory, every defiant stand, every act of quiet bravery. And though you may not always see it, it is there, waiting for you to lift it high. To hold this shield is to make a declaration. It is to stand in the face of fear and say, I may be afraid, but I will not bow. I may doubt myself, but I will not stop. My voice may tremble, my knees may shake, but I will still rise. I will still move. I will still stand tall. Courage does not mean you feel invincible. It does not mean you are without scars or questions. Courage means you choose to be unbreakable, not because you have never been broken, but because you refuse to stay broken. Think of the moments in your life where fear tried to chain you, yet you moved anyway. The job interview you walked into with your heart racing. The relationship you left, though it terrified you to start over. the truth you spoke, though silence promised safety. Those are not small moments. They are battles, and each time you fought them, you proved that your shield was real. Courage looks different for everyone. For some, it is stepping onto a stage. For others, it is walking away from a toxic environment. Sometimes, courage is as simple as looking in the mirror and saying, "I deserve better." But in every form, it is sacred. It is transformative. And here is the beauty. Courage is contagious. When one woman lifts her shield, she creates a ripple. Others watching, afraid to rise, begin to believe they can. Her courage becomes their courage. Her boldness becomes their inspiration. So, the next time fear whispers, remember, fear has no power unless you give it permission. Doubt only grows when you feed it with attention. But courage multiplies every time you act in faith. Every time you choose to step forward, anyway. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. You don't need to wait until fear is gone. You only need to decide, to raise the shield, to take the step, to stand, even when you shake. Because courage is not about being fearless, it is about refusing to be stopped. And when you learn to lift your shield of courage, you discover that the very things that once terrified you can no longer break you. So stand tall, Queen, lift your shield, and let your courage be the proof that fear may whisper, but it will never win. A garden cannot bloom if it is never watered. The soil dries, the roots weaken, the flowers wither before they ever have the chance to unfold. And yet, this is how so many women are taught to live. Pour endlessly into others. Give without pause. Carry the weight of everyone else's needs while ignoring the quiet cries of their own soul. But here is a truth that cannot be ignored. Your soul cannot thrive on neglect. You were not created to run on empty. You were not designed to be the endless well that never drinks. The garden of self-love is the sacred space within you where your spirit is nourished, restored, and celebrated. It is where you tend to yourself with gentleness, where you whisper daily, "I am enough, I am worthy, I deserve my own care." Self-love is not selfish. That is the great lie many of us were told. Self-love is not indulgence, it is survival. It is not vanity, it is vitality. You cannot give what you do not have, and you cannot shine if you are starving your own light. Think of yourself as a garden. Gardens require care, intention, and tenderness. They need watering, sunlight, and time to rest. They need pruning, moving the weeds, cutting back the parts that no longer serve growth. Your soul is the same. Without nourishment, you wither. Without rest, you weaken. Without grace, you close yourself off from the beauty of blooming. In this garden of self-love, grace lives. Grace tells you it is okay to stumble. Grace tells you it is okay to rest. Grace tells you it is okay to begin again. You do not need to earn your worth. You do not need to perform for love. You are already enough, already radiant, already deserving. When you begin to water your own soul, something shifts. You stop blooming for approval. You no longer need validation from every voice around you. You no longer sacrifice your peace to meet impossible expectations. Instead, you bloom because it is your nature to shine. Like a flower that turns instinctively toward the sun. You rise into your brilliance simply because you were created to. Self-love is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet. It is the decision to rest when the world says hustle. It is the choice to say no when your heart longs for peace. It is giving yourself permission to eat, to sleep, to breathe, to be without guilt. It is looking into the mirror and, instead of criticizing every flaw, daring to say, "I see beauty. I see strength. I see someone worth loving." And here's the truth, when you care for yourself, you do not diminish your love for others, you multiply it. A woman rooted in self-love loves differently. She gives without depletion. She nurtures without resentment. She shows up not from a place of emptiness, but from abundance. Her love becomes steady, radiant, whole. Imagine a world where every woman tended her own garden first. Imagine the radiance, the strength, the healing that would bloom. Imagine the generations of daughters growing up knowing that love begins within, not outside. That worth is not earned, it is honored. So today, choose to water your soul. Protect your peace. Speak kindly to yourself. Rest without guilt. Dream without limitation. Celebrate your reflection, your body, your journey. Remove the weeds of shame and comparison, and plant seeds of joy, gratitude, and faith. Because when a woman nurtures her own garden, she does not just bloom, she transforms. She no longer needs to beg for approval or permission. She shines because she was always meant to shine. And the most beautiful thing, when you bloom in self-love, you create a fragrance of courage that inspires others to do the same. Your garden becomes not only your sanctuary, but a living testimony that self-love is sacred, necessary, and unstoppable. Every queen builds a fortress, not a fortress of cold walls or distant silence, but a sacred space designed to protect the treasure within. That treasure is her soul, her peace, her energy, her joy. And the fortress she builds is made of boundaries. Boundaries are not punishments, they are not weapons, they are not walls to shut love out. They are, instead, the architecture of some. They are the invisible lines that say, here is where I end, here is where my worth begins, and here is where you must not cross. Without boundaries, a woman's heart becomes a field where anyone can walk, trample, or take without care. Without them, her kindness becomes an open tap pouring endlessly until she is dry. Without them, her love drains her instead of sustaining her. But with boundaries, everything changes. Love becomes healthy, not heavy. Kindness flows from abundance, not exhaustion. Giving becomes sacred, not sacrificial. Every woman must understand this truth. Boundaries do not push people away. They reveal who truly values you, because the ones who love you with honor will respect your lines, and the ones who only came to take will resist them. Yes, some will call you selfish. Some will say you have changed. Some will accuse you of being cold, difficult, or unkind. But understand this, those accusations are not reflections of your heart, they are confessions of theirs. A fortress is not built for everyone to enter. It is built so that the worthy, the respectful, the loving may step inside with care. Boundaries are not cruelty, they are clarity, they are the declaration of your worth. And when you set them, you stop begging for respect, you begin to command it, not with shouting, not with force, but simply by the way you guard your own spirit. Think of a fortress, strong walls, tall gates, guarded entrances, yet inside, beauty thrives, gardens bloom, music plays, joy flows freely. That is how boundaries work. They are not about isolation, they are about protection. They ensure that the sacred things within you, your peace, your energy, your dreams are preserved for those who honor them. Setting boundaries may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you were raised to believe that good women always say yes, always please, always sacrifice. But the truth is this, endless sacrifice is not love, it is erasure. If you give away all of yourself, what will remain for you? Boundaries are the way you say to the world, my soul is sacred, my peace is priceless, my worth is non-negotiable. They come in many forms. Sometimes it is the simple word, no, when your spirit longs for rest. Sometimes it is walking away from relationships that drain instead of nourish. Sometimes it is refusing to let guilt or manipulation decide your choices. Sometimes it is limiting how much of yourself you pour into those who never pour back. And here is the beautiful truth: when you build your fortress, you are not just protecting yourself, you are teaching others how to love you. You are modeling for your daughters, your sisters, your friends that protecting your peace is not wrong, it is righteous. A woman with boundaries does not fear losing people. She knows that the ones who leave when she guards her spirit were never meant to stay. She also knows that those who truly love her will honor the gates of her fortress, knock with kindness, and enter with respect. So, build your fortress, not with bitterness, but with wisdom, not with fear, but with love. Guard your energy, your dreams, your joy. Protect your time as if it were treasure. Defend your peace as if it were priceless, because it is. Remember, a queen without a fortress is vulnerable to every intruder, but a queen with boundaries is untouchable. She does not beg for space, she creates it. She does not ask for respect, she lives it. And when you guard your spirit with boundaries, you do not close yourself off from love, you invite in the kind of love that sees your worth and honors it. Every fall feels final. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every failure seems like the closing of a chapter you will never reopen. In those moments, it feels like the ground has swallowed you whole, and the weight of disappointment presses so heavily that you cannot imagine ever standing again. But here is the truth every woman must hold close. Endings are not graves, they are doorways. Every collapse is not a coffin but a passage. And deep within every woman, no matter how broken she feels, burns the fire of rising. This fire is not always visible. Sometimes it is just an ember, glowing faintly beneath the ashes of despair. But it is there. It has always been there. It waits for the moment when you decide not that the pain will vanish, not that the wound will be erased, but that the pain will not bury you, that the storm will not own you, that the fall will not define you. To rise does not mean to pretend the fall never happened. It does not mean to deny the wound. Rising means refusing to remain in the dust. It means facing the ashes of what broke you and saying, from here, I will build again. From here, I will burn brighter. The phoenix is the perfect symbol of this truth. A creature that does not escape fire but embraces it. it does not run from the ashes, it becomes something new within them. So too is the woman who rises. She does not deny her scars, she turns them into symbols of strength. She does not hide her brokenness, she transforms it into brilliance. Each time you rise, you are remade, stronger, wiser, more radiant. Every betrayal teaches you discernment, every heartbreak teaches you resilience, every failure teaches you persistence, and every rise teaches you that no matter how many times you are knocked down, there is something within you that cannot be destroyed. Your scars become your symbols. They speak louder than any victory, because they say, yes, I fell, but I did not stay down. Your broken places become the cracks where light shines through, illuminating your strength in ways perfection never could. And soon, the world no longer sees the woman who was betrayed, abandoned, or broken. They see the woman who refused to be kept down, the woman who chose to rise again and again, until her story became one of unstoppable resilience. Think about this. The most powerful women in history are not remembered because life was kind to them. They are remembered because they rose from places where no one thought rising was possible. They carried fire in their bones, light in their scars, and dignity in their survival. Your story is no different. The fire of rising is already within you. Even if you feel small, tired, or defeated, it has not gone out. All it needs is your decision, the whisper of I will not give up. That whisper fans the ember into flame. That flame becomes your wings. And rising does not always mean soaring overnight. Sometimes rising means crawling out of the rubble one breath at a time. Sometimes it means holding yourself together long enough to take just one step. Sometimes it means sitting in the ashes until you have the strength to stand. But every small rise counts. Every attempt is proof that your spirit is still alive, still burning, still refusing to die. So rise, even if your voice trembles. Rise, even if your legs shake. Rise, even if you carry scars that the world cannot see, because the fire within you is stronger than the fall behind you. And when you rise, you do more than heal yourself, you become a light for others. Your story becomes a torch for women who are still lying in their ashes, unsure if they can stand. They will look at you and say, if she rose, so can I. So let your fire burn. Let your ashes become wings. Let every fall become the birthplace of your next rise. Because no matter how many times life knocks you down, the fire of rising will always, always bring you back stronger. The most powerful footsteps are not the loudest. They do not always thunder across stages, nor do they always command applause. The most powerful footsteps are the ones that last, the ones that leave imprints deep enough for others to walk in. Long after you are gone. This is the path of legacy. To walk the path of legacy is to live boldly, to live with intention, to live in such a way that your presence becomes a gift, and your absence becomes a memory that still guides. Legacy is not about perfection, it is about impact. It is about what you leave behind in the hearts, the lives, and the spirits of those who cross your path. Boldness, in this journey, is not recklessness. It is not arrogance. Boldness is the sacred act of living unapologetically. It is standing firm in your truth even when the world tells you to soften, to shrink, to stay silent. It is walking into rooms where women were once told to remain unseen and leaving echoes of your voice carved into the walls. Boldness is the courage to be exactly who you are, and in that courage, you carve a path for others to follow. Every step you take matters more than you realize. You may not see it, but someone is watching you. A daughter, a sister, a stranger, someone who is struggling with a battle you once fought. And when they see your strength, your persistence, your faith, they will know they are not walking alone. Your life becomes their lantern, lighting the dark roads they must travel. This is the essence of legacy, to live in such a way that your courage becomes contagious, that your resilience inspires generations, that your voice whispers hope into the ears of women who will never meet you, but who will carry your fire forward. Legacy is not measured in riches, titles, or possessions. Those fade with time. True legacy is measured in the courage you carried, the truth you spoke, the lives you touched, and the fire you left burning in others. It is the way people remember how you made them feel. It is the strength someone else discovers because they once saw it in you. Think of the women who came before you as mothers, grandmothers, pioneers, dreamers, fighters. Many of them had no stages, no books, no grand titles. And yet, their quiet strength, their unshakable faith, their relentless love built bridges for us to cross today. Their footsteps became our path. And now, it is our turn to do the same. Legacy is not just about what you achieve, it is about what you pass on. It is about leaving behind not just memories, but movements. Not just words, but wisdom. Not just footprints, but trails that make it easier for those who come after you to rise. And here is the beautiful truth. You do not need to wait until the end of your life to begin building your legacy. You build it daily, in the choices you make, in the love you give, in the boundaries you honor, in the courage you show, in the way you rise again and again. Every day, your actions lay bricks on the path someone else will one day walk. So live with the awareness that your story is not only yours, it belongs also to the generations watching, learning, and waiting to follow. Speak truth, because someone will inherit your words. Walk with strength, because someone will inherit your steps. Love deeply, because someone will inherit your heart. And when your journey is complete, may your legacy not just be remembered, it will be lived. Lived in the courage of your daughters, in the resilience of your sisters, in the brilliance of women who refuse to shrink because they saw you refuse to shrink, because the path of legacy is not about you alone. It is about all who will come after you. It is about the footprints that remain long after the fire has moved on. So walk boldly, speak bravely, love deeply, rise endlessly, and know that every step you take is not just shaping your present, it is building a future, a legacy, a path the world will never forget.